Hey Sushant, can you hear me? I can't hear you. I still can't hear you for some reason.
Because I was talking to my son and I muted myself. Maybe this will work now.
Okay. Okay.
How are you, Satish? How's the Charlotte weather?
Oh yeah, I mean we went outside. So for people who don't know, so we are in Charlotte. I'm in Charlotte. He's in Raleigh. We are having a bad winter storm. I mean, it's supposed to be a bad winter storm, but yeah, I mean it's snowing here. We went outside and took some pictures. So yeah, it is good. Yeah. How about you?
Yeah, it's good. Not too bad of a snow, but it is very rare here, right? So kids are super excited. Kids were out for 2-3 hours, and yeah, they had good time with their gang. 7-8 kids walking out for 2-3 hours, so it was good. I didn't go anywhere. Yeah, maybe I'm thinking maybe I should go out and make a short or something. I have to think about what it should be about. Hello, everyone. Well, it looks like we have good turnout, 15 people. And this is our first live stream, guys, for Satish and for me as well. And Satish, thank you for joining this first live stream and to boost my confidence. I didn't know what to do on live stream. We are not like professionals, right? So first time. So we thought, why don't we take a few questions from all you guys and try to answer here live? It's good interacting here. So welcome, Satish. Uh, and why don't you introduce yourself to, I don't know if the audience is from my side, your side, but to our audience of this live stream.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. So we did an Insta live just 2 days ago about money. That was my first time. We thought, okay, we'll just do live, and we went live on Instagram on Friday, and then Sushant was like, okay, let's do it on YouTube. So this is how it's the first time for both Sushant and me. So let's see. So for people who are not aware, I'm Satish Gajula. I'm the founder of Compounding Project. So I'm a YouTuber and a podcaster where we talk about taking small steps to become healthy, wealthy, and wise. And I'm still working for a 9 to 5 job. I'm almost there with my fire journey. Maybe in a few years I'll be hitting my fire number. But until then, yeah, I've been investing for the past almost 10 years now. So yeah, that's about me.
That's amazing. Yeah, please check out Satish's channel, Compounding. I'm
Project,
forgetting the
yeah.
Compounding Project. Yeah, yeah. He talks a lot about health. He brings in a lot of experts in health, wealth, fitness, and he reads a lot of books. And he has a six pack. So yeah, please check out his channel. All right, Satish. So should we get started with the questions? A lot of people have already sent us.
Yeah, sure. Or maybe why don't you introduce yourself, just so if people we don't know if they're my subscribers or yours. So
Yes, yes, yes. Sorry for that. Yes, guys, my name is Sushant Thakre. I'm based in RTP, Cary, North Carolina. And I run this Money with Swabi YouTube channel where we talk about personal finance 101 and little advanced. We don't go too advanced as to what to buy, what not to buy, just the basics of it. I'm doing this full time because I retired in 2024. I hit the fire numbers and I felt comfortable leaving my corporate, and I saw there is a gap where I can share my experience, and that's what I have been doing through my YouTube channel. So yeah, and this is our first effort to kind of try to connect with our audience and take their questions live and answer a bunch of questions which we already received.
let's do it.
Yeah. So before we go on, first question for all you guys, whoever is online, could you please type in which city you are from or which state you are from? I'm sure all our audience is mostly from US, so just wanted to um, get a feel of where everyone is from. And meanwhile, Satish, we can get started with our first one if you have
Yeah.
anything up.
Yep. Yeah, I have the question. So maybe why don't I read the question and you can answer, and
Sure.
see if there is something that I can add to that answer. All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we received a bunch of questions online on YouTube and also some on Instagram. So we compiled them into, probably like 10 to 12 questions that we can try to tackle in this session, and then also go to the chat as well. So the first one is from, I don't know if you want to give the name, or should we just
Uh,
go with the question?
yeah, let's go with the questions. Let's keep it
Right.
anonymous. Yeah.
So yeah, so the first one is regarding 401k. So hi Sushant, hope you're doing well. My wife has a traditional 401k with her employer managed by Fidelity Net Benefits. She lost a job. She has 50k in it. Can she transfer it into a traditional IRA?
Yeah, she can certainly do that. I mean, usually when we change our jobs, or yeah, when we change our jobs, we roll over our 401ks to from our previous employer to our current employer. The reason for that is your current employer will have less fees compared to your previous one. If you let it be with your previous employer, it will charge you a little more fees. And I usually, when I have changed my employer, I have converted that to an IRA, because IRA has more options of investments and the fees are relatively lower. So that's the approach I have followed, and I think, yeah, we should go with that because you have a little more flexibility in IRAs. So that's what I would do. Anything more to add from you, Satish?
Yeah. I recently did this rollover, so I'm quite familiar with this process. So yeah, I agree with you that we it's best to do a rollover to a traditional IRA, so that you'll have better options in your traditional IRA as well. So one thing is, there will be a timeline. Usually, like within 30 days, you have to complete the transfer, because let's say if you're a company A, and then if you lost your job, and then when you do initiate the transfer, I mean, I received a check, from this company, and then that check needs to be transferred to, let's say, if you want to do a rollover company B, so that needs to be done within this 30 days. Like, I've seen one person who actually exceeded the 30 days, and if they exceed, then it counts as, you're withdrawing from your 401k, and then that's acts as a penalty. If let's say if you want to do the transfer, like, make sure you do that within the 30 days window.
Is that right? I was not aware of this, Satish. I'm not. Yeah, I mean, if you're saying that, it must be right, but I wasn't pretty sure, because sometimes my wife or my friends have forgotten their 401ks with old companies for 6 months, year or so,
Uh,
and they have rolled that over.
No. What I'm trying to say is, like, once you initiate that transfer, it needs to,
Ah,
yeah. So I mean, I waited for, so in my previous company for like 5 years. I didn't care about it. That actually, that first company that I ever worked for,
mm,
it no longer exists. So they sent an email saying that you need to, like, either you have an option, like, transfer to your current employer, or you can do that
mm,
rollover. So, but make sure you do that, because that company no longer exists.
yeah,
So, and then when I initiated the transfer, I got a check, and then
got
I
it.
have to do that within the 30 days. It needs to be set up in an account. Otherwise, like, if you're okay with your previous employer, like, just you can leave it there. It should be good.
Good, good.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, got it. Uh, so we have Sai from Virginia, then we have Vamsi from San Antonio, Michigan, we have Florida, Atlanta, Michigan again, Houston. All right, mostly southern states
Yeah. Yeah.
and Virginia, little above us.
Yeah.
All right. Next one. I will cover the next one. What do you think about term insurance, not with the employer, on your own? And how about diversification?
I've done some research on this one, in insurance. So for people who are not aware at a high level, right? I mean, there are two types of insurance, like, a term insurance or a life insurance, right? If I take a term insurance, let's say if you take it for 20 years, right? It'll cover you whatever happens within that 20 years. It'll cover you for that. But beyond 20 years, you will not get anything. Like, all the premiums that you pay, it just goes wasted, right? And then, so life insurance is something that, of course, like, as the name says, you're covered for life. If you pass away, your beneficiaries will get the amount that's specified in the life insurance. So, but the catch here is, usually term insurance will have low premiums, and the life insurance will have high premiums. So uh, so my approach is, I usually recommend term insurance. because you'll have lower premiums, and then the difference in that premium, I usually recommend investing into a broad-based, low-cost index fund, and that will make sure that okay, you're covered for, let's say, 20 years or 30 years. And then people ask, like, what happens after 30 years, right? I mean, you at that time you'll have a sizable portfolio that you can still use for any expenses, and that, let's say, if you have a traditional brokerage account, right, you can, the options are endless. Like, you can use that for, let's say, if you want to use for kids education, or if you have an HSA, you can use that for medical expense. So I mean, this is a debatable question. There is a no right or wrong answer, but that's how I would approach.
Yeah. For me, I mean, I don't believe in the life insurance. I believe in term insurance. And the objective of term insurance is, if you are head of your family, or if your family depends on your salary, and if you're not there tomorrow, what will happen to your family? Can they sustain, right? So it is something which will replace you in terms of your salary. If you're not close to your retirement, if you have 10, 15, 20 years to go, and if your family does depend on your income, you should have it for like 10 or 20 years. That's what I would recommend. And for me, honestly, I don't have it. And one of my master's friend said, dude, you don't even have that. So I'm like, I'm not earning anyways. So like, what's the point of me being here or not being here? I mean, jokes aside, but I have a portfolio which can support my family, and that's the reason why I don't have it. But if you think your salary is important to your family, you should have it. And from your employer, you usually get 1.5x or 2x of your salary. That is not sufficient. So you should plan for 10 to 20 years, depending on where you are in your life.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let's see. So yeah, I'm gonna do the next one. This is
Uh,
all right.
Satish, can we cover this? I mean, our live audience is also asking.
Yeah.
So maybe the most recent one. What is the benefit of having multiple 401k in Fidelity? Should I combine it one in one single, basically? Yes, you can. You should absolutely combine it. There is no, I don't see a point of having multiple 401ks. It usually happens because your company A was providing this 401k, company B was providing that 401k, and you are switching companies, but you're not doing anything with your 401k. It is always good to consolidate 401ks and probably convert it to IRA. Only at one place I wouldn't do that, because if you are thinking of early retirement, if you are close to 55, then if you have everything in 401k, and if you retire at the age of 55, then you can start withdrawing from that 401k without the penalty. If you're retiring, it cannot be like you'll still work after 55. So only that catch. Other than that, I would totally consolidate it. We don't want all this investment scattered all over. It's hard to monitor and hard to see what performances are of those investments. So yeah, I would consolidate.
Makes sense. So
Yeah,
you
you
want to
can
do?
go ahead.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think yeah, let's go with. There's also one more 401k question. Let's see. So he asked, okay, can you please help? How come 401k is still factored into liquid calculation? Isn't 401k also considered non-liquid, like home equity? Yeah.
Yeah. So 401k, I understand. Once your money goes in, it is locked in till you are 59 and a half, unless you want to monkey around with it and pay the 10% penalty and taxes and all of that. In normal circumstances, normal circumstances, you'll wait till 59 and a half and it is locked in. But it is still liquid. Illiquid is real estate. I mean, if you want that money tomorrow, you cannot sell this property tomorrow. You cannot do anything about it. Land, real estate, those are like hard assets. Those are illiquid assets. 401k is still liquid because you can sell. Of course, there will be penalties, there will be taxes and all of that, but you can touch that money. So though it is not as liquid as your brokerage account, or brokerage account, ETFs or stocks, but it is still liquid. So that's why it is liquid.
Yeah. I would also add to that. So there is also this. I mean, I don't know how much depth we want to go, but there is something called a Roth conversion ladder, where let's say you have a traditional 401k account, right, and your age let's say age 50. So age 50, you say you are retired, and then what you can do is like you could still withdraw from that traditional 401k and then convert that to a Roth IRA. So that will be, but that money you can use it only after 5 years. So people, when they're expecting for this, when they're retired, retired early, they use this a lot. Like they use that 5 year window, right? So year one they'll convert. Let's say standard deduction is $31,500. So they'll convert that from a traditional IRA to a Roth IRA, and that'll be considered as income for that year. But still, since they are retired, and they can use that money after 5 years. So they'll keep doing that for 5 years, and then after 5 years, you still have that money that you can withdraw from Roth IRA for free. Like this is there are some. We should do it separate, like tax planning session for early retirees or people who want to retire early. Maybe we can do that. But yeah, considering to an illiquid asset like a home, I would consider traditional 401ks as liquid.
Perfect. Thank you, Satish. There is a question about, do you have any thoughts on investing and immigration? Hmm. You have any? So I'm thinking this question is asking if you are on a immigration or visa, are there any positive, negative impacts of investing here? That's what I'm assuming. Do you have any take on that, Satish?
uh I mean, so yeah, I
So
feel like
you are on H1B, right?
yeah,
You are on. So how does it affect your psyche? What is the thought process?
exactly. I mean, for me, I feel like uh that's one of the greatest medium. Like investing in the stock market is one of the greatest mediums, like especially when I'm on visa, because if you're talking about like anything doing legally, right, to earn more money, let's say starting a business, right, or doing a side hustle, if it's part of like active involvement, like you can't do that when you're on a visa. I mean there's some people that they do it but other methods, but legally you are not allowed to do like start a business when you're on a visa, like H1B visa. You can only work for your employer, right? So for me, like I've been investing for the past 10 years. So you can do invest in a low cost broad based index funds. So for immigrants, it's totally legal, and like even if people decide to go back to India also, like you can still keep their accounts, 401ks or traditional, like taxable brokerage accounts as well. So I mean, for I don't see. I mean, I'm assuming the question is regarding like can you do that when you're in immigration? And I mean, it's totally fine. And I really like stock market. I keep saying it, like stock market is one of the greatest wealth building tools out there. So yeah.
Yeah, one of the other theme I see on my channel and in my comments is, we want to go back to India, or we are not sure about the immigration status, and should we have the confidence to invest in the US? Because I see a lot of people, more often than not, in the first 8-10 years of your career in the US, pretty much all the immigrants tend to send a lot of money back home for investment purpose, so buying houses and all that. So is that better, or is this better? I'm kind of taking the question in that direction.
Okay.
And I always feel like your money should stay with you wherever you are. If you are here in the US, totally invest in the stock market. And if you want to go back someday, or if you have to go back someday, then carry that money with you. The rupee depreciation is a lot, 3 to 4% every year. It doesn't make sense to think of investing in that market. If it is intentional that I want geographical diversification, in that case, maybe fine, but don't be scared and just stash money in the country where you are not right now. So that's my take. I think US is the place where, if you are here, if you are in UK, if you are wherever you are, it should stay in the local market. That's my understanding.
I agree.
Before Satish reads next question, just wanted to know a quick one, that whoever, we have 36 people online now, do you guys know your net worth? Because these are all finance people, right? Or people who are interested in finance. So I wonder how many people really don't know their net worth, and do you track it monthly? So those are my two quick questions. If you could type in just yes or no, and we track monthly or not track monthly, something like that. Short answer, and we can move on to our next one, Satish.
Yeah.
Should I
Okay.
read it? I don't
Yeah.
know who read the previous one.
I think, yeah, I read that, so maybe you can go with
Okay,
this.
I will. Um, I'm 25-year-old in my first job. Would you recommend maxing out IRA and 401k? What should I do about it?
All right. Yeah. I honestly, so I started my journey when I was 25-year-old. So I'm currently 35. So I started my journey in 25. So I at that time I was, I was just learning about stock markets. So I even though I knew that stock market would go up in the long term, I did not max out. I wish I had maxed out at that time, because that starting early, and then traditional 401k, you don't pay any taxes now. You'll pay taxes when you withdraw, but you don't pay any taxes now. So that not only decrease your tax bill for that year, but also, like, you can use that difference in putting in a traditional brokerage account as well. So I mean, if your situation allows, let's say if you have like 3 to 6 months of emergency expenses covered, and then you're putting into something that you're not going to need it for the next almost, like, 35 years, until you're 15 and a half. So if you have the ability, then your finances allows, and I would highly recommend maxing out both, like, 401ks and a Roth IRA. That's how I wish I had done. I was maxing out Roth IRA, but not my traditional 401k. Yeah, that's my take. What about you, Sushant?
You were ahead of the game, man. I did not start IRA. Yeah, but 401k, I was on it whenever I started working full time. It's a free money, guys, if you're not using it. Even if you're younger, there was a stats. I was doing some research, and I think people in their 20s till 30, 40% people are, or 40, only 40% are putting money in 401ks, and rest of it are not doing it. So it is like leaving free money on the table, because your company is matching something 50%, sometimes 100%. So don't leave that money on table, because if when you are younger, under 30, that you have time in your hand, and time is the biggest factor in compounding. So if you can just double down with your time, with the money, and relatively, if you're a single guy, I mean, you have less responsibility, so you can put in a lot of money here. Of course, it is going towards your retirement, but don't miss out on that opportunity. So you can totally go at least with the company match. For 401k, you can invest up to $24,000. Then it is up to us what your long-term goals and all those things kick in. But at least the minimum matching, yeah, you should totally do that.
Right. I think we have two follow-up questions on that one. Let's say, so I can read the first question. So we have this question regarding Roth IRA. So I'm maxing out my Roth IRA so far. Good job on that one. Like, so do you
Nice one.
recommend having individual stock in Roth IRA or just ETF? What's your take, Sushant?
And I am totally not a stocks or individual share or stocks guys, because I have done it, and I'm not the smartest one. It is not my job. That's not what I do 24/7 or even 8 hours. I don't think I have that much in me to figure out which stock will go up. When everything is going up, you feel like, yeah, I can easily pick a stock, but hindsight is always 2020. So I don't think I have that. And several research studies have shown that individual investors, retail investors, are not good at picking up the right stocks. I would totally stick to ETFs and mutual funds in a broad US market, S&P 500, like that broad ETFs or mutual funds. So I will stick with that. I wouldn't play with individual stock.
Right. For somebody who's interested, there is this website called SPIVA, SPIVA. It's S&P 500 index versus active. So it'll track how index funds are doing when compared to actively traded mutual funds, right? So you can see almost, like, last time I checked, more like 90% of active funds couldn't beat an index like S&P 500. So these are people who have gone to business schools, did MBAs, all this financial knowledge. Despite having that, they're not able to beat the market consistently over the long term. So I mean, I decided when I first started my journey, I don't have the skill set to do it. Not the time. So I've done a lot of research, and it's finally ended up with low cost index funds. So that's something that even I believe Sushant would also recommend this audience as well.
Yeah, I mean, we want to invest in individual stocks for what? We want to beat the market, or we want to beat what our friend is getting in his return, or we want to beat something somewhere, right? Why do we want to beat that? We want to reach somewhere faster. Are we really reaching somewhere faster? I don't know. A lot of people, I mean, don't quote Warren Buffett and big investors. They are not in my league. So I'll talk about normal people. See, if you go by rule of 72, I mean, it says, if someone doesn't know what is rule of 72, 72 divided by, say, 10, and if you're getting a rate of return of 10, that means 72 divided by 10 is 7. That means you will double your money in 7 years. And S&P 500 has given 10% return on an average over last 100 years. So say if you are earning, if you are good tech people, if you are earning good salary, if you are putting 25% of your income in the market, and if you're getting 10% return, guys, you are multiplying, not multiplying, you're doubling your money every 7 years. So in 7 years it will be double, in 14 years it will be 4 times, and then in 21 years it will be 8 times, and after that it will be 16 and 32. So think about that. That multiplier factor is a big one. So why do you want to fight about 10%, 11%, 12%, and you're not going to get 15% like CAGR all your life? Warren Buffett has what, 18, 19% CAGR? So
Yep.
compound annual growth return. So don't get in any competition. Just know your retirement number if you are working towards that, or early retirement number, and just be in your own lane and be in your own zone, and just try to meet your goals. You don't have to beat anyone. That's where all these things comes in. I mean, I saw a comment that I'm starting late. Now I'm losing money. I lost 30,000 in Bitcoin and all that. If you're starting late, you're trying to beat some people in some sort of race. So don't get into all of that. Just stay with the market, and market is good. I mean, as long as you can match the market, that's good enough. I think I'm diverting from the topic or going away from it, but yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, yeah. We recommend sticking to low cost index mutual funds, right?
Yep. And about the net worth, so I who is tracking their net worth and how often they track. So I see one yes, Wamshi says yes, Lamami T they say yes, NC Patil. I know you are from Atlanta. You comment on my videos a lot, so thank you for that. I use Monarch and see it every week. One person says no, other person says no, would love to track. Mm, other person say yes on Fidelity. So yeah, and somebody says, "Can you talk about metal?" Do you have anything on that?
I mean, I know this has been getting a lot of attention, right? Especially like silver. I don't usually follow the latest news, hot topics when it comes to investing, because I'm a boring investor. I just set up my monthly recurring investments, and then I track my net worth. Once a month, just to see how I'm progressing, and that's it. Like I'll spend less than maybe 2 hours on any given month on my you know uh, portfolio, because we know that it's very hard to beat the market in the long term, right? So I mean, people come up with data saying that, okay, silver has been doing, getting crazy returns. But if you really look at the history, right, even the gold, let's say gold, like, we have the data for last like 100 years. There is this book called Stocks for the Long Run by Jeremy Siegel. In that he compares, over the past 200 years, how the gold has performed, how the dollar has performed, how the bonds and how the stocks have performed, right? I don't want to go into all the details, but gold was slightly beating the inflation for the past 100 years. So most people have if they have gold in the portfolio, it's a hedge against inflation, but it's not, a great wealth building tool. We have stocks is one of the greatest wealth building tools out there. So personally, I don't have gold in my portfolio. I'm currently 100% into stocks, except for my current home. Again, if you're trying to play with it, I would recommend not go more than 5% of your per portfolio. Yeah, then that's my take on it. We can go with the recency bias, right? If let's say if the silver or gold has returned like 20-25% in the last 3 years, let's say. But are you sure that it's going to do that in the next 3 years, 5 years, right? I mean, like Shuzan was telling, like when Warren Buffett has compounded his wealth close to like 20%, you can see, like, he's been doing it like since 1964 for almost like 67, 60, 65 years, right? And then that's in the stock market, and then we are talking just about metals, which might be going high, but I'm not a big believer. Like, yeah, I usually keep it less than 5%. What's your take?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely belongs somewhere in the diversification, but you need to know what is your diversification. It should be catered to your age, your net worth, what are your long-term goals. It should be catered to that. It cannot just be like silver is running, so I need to catch some, gold is running, I need to catch some. Not that. As Satish said, 5%, 10% of your portfolio, you need to figure out what it should be. And I was just talking to my cousin in India just 2 hours ago, and he was asking kind of same thing. Hey, what should I do with silver? Again, none of this is financial advice, guys. We are just two guys on the internet, so just hear us what we are saying, but take your own decisions. Uh, so yeah, I mean, if you have invested in silver, and so my cousin was saying, I invested say 100 in silver, and it has become 300. What should I do? So yeah, if something has doubled or tripled in 1 or 2 years, well, you need to do something with it because you cannot expect it to keep running. So at that time, you need to know what your sectors are, how your portfolio is diversified, what 5, 10 sectors you believe in. If metal has gone up, then this is time to rebalance it, right? Cut the profits, put it somewhere which has not performed, which you can bet on. And again, not individual stocks, it should be ETFs and mutual funds. So it depends on your situation, but it definitely should be a part of your portfolio. But as Satish said, it is hedge, and don't expect it to run the way it has run. uh, yeah, not a financial advice, but that's how I would approach it. I have it too, but I'm not going crazy about it. There's one more question right here, live audience. Sangam Kushi has asked, is approach what is the approach we can take for short term and long term investing strategies? Satish, can you go?
All right, yeah. So yeah, for short term, so this is how I would approach it. So anything that I don't need for the next 5 years, I would put it in the stock market. We usually, like, I've seen some of my friends, they talk about, like, hey, the market is going up, let me put that now and then withdraw it, like, maybe 1 year later if it goes 10 to 15% higher. But if you look at the history, we can't predict the stock market. We don't know what's going to happen in the next month, next 6 months, or next 1 year, or next 5 years, right? So anything more than 5 years, that I would usually put in the stock market. And for the short terms, usually I put it in a money market fund, or a high yield savings account. Let's say if you're saving for a house that you need in the next 1 year, 2 years, or for you're saving for a down payment, then I usually put in a high yield savings account. You can just Google, find the best ones, and you don't have to chase these returns when it comes to high yield savings accounts. Get a good reputable uh, company, and then I usually do that. And then if you're investing, your brokerage account also has money market funds that you can just park your money, anything for less than 5 years. This is how I would approach. I don't usually put any money in, like, individual stocks, except for, like, this 1 to 2% of my portfolio that I just want to have some fun. But that's not something as a short term strategy. Like, I don't do that. So what are your thoughts, Sushant?
Nothing more to add. Exactly. Same. Ditto. All right.
All right.
Guys, I'm a early retirement guy. I talk a lot about retirement or early retirement. So has that thought ever crossed your mind? And if it has, could you please type in early in the chat below so that we will know how many people are thinking about it? And on that note, I can take a next question. This is a very interesting question, Satish. This is very thought out question. I think it is Sai, if I'm not. It came on my YouTube thing. So I talk about net worth. What is the median net worth in the US? What is net worth by, say, Indian Americans or Asian or Hispanic and whites? I talk about that. I do talk about what is liquid net worth of people. So this person has probably watched all of those videos and come up with a very interesting question. So the question says, if median household income of US is around $80,000, and if they have less than, and these are all facts, by the way, these are pretty much my stats I gave in my video. So it says, if median household income of US is around $80,000, if they have less than $100,000 in their 401k account, which is a fact, people in their 60s have a 401k median balance of just $100,000 or less, which is not good. And generally less than $100,000 in liquidity. So where is this getting spent? Where is this money going? Uh,
Right.
you can go or I can go.
So Sushant, maybe you can go this time. Yeah.
Yeah. So see, guys, pretty much everyone either rent or have a mortgage, own a house. Not many are debt free. So 30 to 40%, 35% of the money of your take home pay is going in that. Then you have people with kids, you have daycare, then you have healthcare, then you have insurance. The premiums are going high. It is getting brutally expensive. The inflation. Then you have, US is known for student loans, right? I have seen videos and reels. People are saying, I'll take this to my grave because I'll never be able to pay this off. Then the car payments. Then people are, I mean, credit card debt is very, very high in the US right now. And so most people, the stat says most people are able to kind of save 5 to 7% of their incomes. And if you ask any random American, they'll barely have $1,000 or $2,000 if there is any emergency. So I think, where is the money going? They're going here, and again it is going. No wonder why Jeff Bezos is getting rich. Everything is going to Amazon, maybe. And YOLO, you only live once. That is one of the things which is adding to the fuel, I guess, adding to the fire. So mm, that's where the money is going. So you got to get educated about it, and your spending should be intentional. If it is not, if you don't take care of your money, the money is taking care of you in a bad way. So yeah, that's my take. Anything to add, Satish?
Yeah, yeah. This is one of my favorite questions, I would say, because right after I graduated, I read a book called Millionaire Next Door, and that book actually opened my eyes when it comes to like who is actually wealthy.
Right there.
Okay. I should have that in some in my stack as well. Let's see. But that book actually, honestly, like we were never. I mean, I grew up in India, so we were never taught about money. Like whenever something the money topic comes, we usually not our kids are not involved. And then growing up, the only advice that I received was just save money. And then when I graduated, I thought until I read that book, I thought, okay, the rich people are who are like who have luxury houses, who drive luxury cars, who wear expensive clothes. But after I read that book, I understood, most millionaires are like big savers. They drive a used car. They live in modest homes, and they have some sort of like investments, right? So so coming back to the question, like where is that all that money going? If you look at the biggest expenses, the top three expenses for anybody, it's like housing, food, and transportation. So housing, right? We most people that just afford like they take on this rent or mortgages that they can't afford, and then all they look about is like look at the monthly payment and see if they're able to if I can handle my monthly payment, then it should be good. But usually I go by this principle that not more than 30% of your income should go for your either rent or a mortgage. So because I've seen people who are like in who live in a fancy house, but if you look at their monthly payment, like more than 50% of the monthly payment is going for the house. And so that's where like you're spending. And then for cars, like we have seen, like we are big to show off, like to show off our money. And so I'm still driving a used Toyota Camry that I bought 7 years ago. And that's it. Like, I'm not into like fancy cars, because I mean, if I want to go from point A to point B, then my used car will do what I where I want to go, right? So it's like, I'll always tell people, like, align your spending with your values. Like, if you really value your freedom, then use money as a tool to achieve that freedom. So yeah, and instead of trying to show off to other people that that I'm wealthy, like, and and also the third category is like food. We know that all these Uber Eats and DoorDash and restaurants, and how those things are adding up. So that's where, like, probably 60 to 70% of your money is going, and then the others are like taxes and other like discretionary spending. That's why we see, like, most people are living paycheck to paycheck.
Yep, well
Right.
said, Satish. Yeah, it is. It is not about one bad decision. It is 20 years of small lifestyle choices and lack of literacy, and that's why America is not doing very well in terms of the country is really good and the country is rich. People are not relatively rich.
I think somebody commented, like, live below your means until you reach financial freedom. That's it. Like, there are three mantras: live below your means, invest the difference, and then
Yeah,
pay off your credit card bills. These three. Like, if you keep doing it, you are bound to become financially free.
yeah. A quick question here from the live session: how investing in IRA account save tax? How, and could you please explain in detail? So traditional IRA, your money is taxed after tax money. Whatever is in your bank, you invest that and you get the benefit during your retirement that it will be tax free. So that is one. The Roth IRA is different. Roth IRA, you can take that one, Satish.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, so I think this question was something that we spoke previously there. Where I said, when you maxing out your 401k when you are 25 years old, then you can save on taxes, right? I believe that's a follow
Yeah,
to that question. I
yeah. They just wanted to know about
of
IRA and
tax.
how tax,
y-
yeah, tax is saved
y-
with IRA investment. If you
Yep.
have covered it, then that's fine.
uh, yeah, I think you spotted on, like, so there are like two major investment like retirement ones. One is your traditional 401k accounts, and Roth IRA account. So traditional 401k, Sushant has covered, but Roth IRA, whatever you invest, the limit for this year I believe is $7,500. So that investments will come from from your checking account, and then if once those investments, or once those dollars are invested, so you whatever the capital growth that comes from that account is all like tax free, right? So and there's one catch here, like, if you want to withdraw, like, you can withdraw your contributions like tax free anytime, because you already paid taxes. But if you want to withdraw any growth, then there's a penalty, and also there is a capital gains tax as well.
Yep, perfect. Next question is live from Akshay Gupta 7245. Please educate us on using HSA and 529 plan as additional investment tools. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can cover HSA, I can cover 529.
Okay, yeah, I'll cover HSA. I mean, HSA is my favorite accounts of all time. I spoke this, I said this, in my Instagram live as well. The reason being, HSA is one of the, I believe, one of the only accounts in the US where you're not taxed anytime. Like, it's a triple tax advantage account, where the money goes in tax free, the money grows tax free, and you can withdraw the money tax free for qualified medical expenses. So I'm sure, like, we'll have qualified like medical expenses, right? And then not only that, you can use it for something medical related, like, my Whoop. I use my HSA to cover my Whoop subscription. I use my HSA to do any additional tests that I want to, like, my body fat measurements, or my let's say VO2 max test. There are a lot of other like other qualified medical expenses that you can claim your HSA. So I would highly recommend it. So I believe the limits are $4,000 if you're single, and then $8,000 if you're family. But you need to have a high deductible health plan when from your employer. So like, yeah, do some math, see if you can contribute to HSA account. And then I highly recommend also investing that amount into a broad based low cost index funds. That's how I've been doing for the past, like, 10 years. I've never used, until the past year, I've been always like investing. I'm using my my regular cards, checking account to pay for the expense. And then, one catch in the HSAs, you can claim that expense even 5 years later or 10 years later also, as long as you have the receipts, and as long as you did not claim for it previously. The IRS doesn't allow double dipping, but if you do that, then you're golden. So I've saved all my receipts, as I didn't claim anything yet. I want that compounding to run as much as possible. So yeah, that's my take on HSA. What are your thoughts on 529, or anything you want to for HSA?
Yeah, fine. No, HSA is good. 529 for kids' education, the money, it's just a tax advantage, and you don't get taxed on that. So I think it's a good plan. You should, if you know the kid is going to go to college, so it's a good thing to. Don't look at it as investment option though. I mean, it is a tax benefit account for kids' education. So don't go overboard, because whoever is the beneficiary, they have to use it at the end for education purpose only. And if they do some startup and don't end up going to college and don't end up using that money, you can convert that to the beneficiary. It will go to beneficiaries Roth IRA as well, so that money is not wasted. Just don't go overboard and fund more than needed. But yeah, and it's just a good option.
Yep. And somebody asked some question on a follow-up question. So Satish, could you elaborate on the process or considerations to arrive at your realistic fire amount? So maybe can you take that, Sushan? I'll see if I can add something.
uh, I don't know how to chat here. Otherwise, I would have pasted something, or maybe I can do it later. What I have used it. I mean, there are some rule of thumb kind of thing. William Benjamin came up with this 4% rule, where it says, in a simple language, if your today's expense is $100,000 for a year, you should have 25 years of money saved in a liquid fund, invested money that will sustain you for rest of your retirement life if you retire at a normal 60 age of 60. If you are talking about early retirement, then you should have 30 to 35x of your monthly yearly expenses. So that's kind of a general rule for retirement. And then there are some tools as well which I personally use, because I was taking a big decision in my life, so I just couldn't say, hey, I have multiplied by 25, multiplied by 30, and I'm good to go. I wanted a little more than that. So I used a tool which does pretty extensive stuff. Like, I have my all my financial accounts are kind of linked to that, and it runs 10,000 point Monte Carlo simulation, which shows what is my probability of a successful retirement, and it shows on the plot, and it shows from my current age till my 85 what is going to happen on a median and in 10th percentile. So at the worst, what can happen to my net worth and my portfolio, and at a median. So when it gave me 95%, 90 whatever percent, that gave me confidence to pull the trigger to how to retire. So I use that. So yeah, that's what I think.
Yep. One comment from actually UD. I just saw UD's comment here.
Hey, Yudi is here. Hi, Yudi.
Hey UD, sorry, yeah, he said we are ignoring him. There's no. I mean, this is the first time I'm seeing your comment,
Sorry,
UD.
dude. We are not pros like you. Yudi is a big YouTuber, one of the biggest YouTuber we know, and we are on the phone, Yudi. We don't even know where to read things from and where to comment. So sorry, I'll call you after this one.
He said like, I've expected a warm welcome to NC, but I see how it is. It's not. Yeah, I mean, totally. We're not ignoring you. This just this is the first time you doing a YouTube live, so we are. Yeah, I mean, we'll connect with you, UD. All right. All right. Let's see. I have a couple more. So we are. Yeah, we have a few minutes. So I'll just go with this question. Where should I invest if I have $50,000?
We both have pretty much the same say, dollar cost average into broader US markets, and just spread it across 3 to 4 months. It depends on what that $50,000 means to you. And yeah, based on your net worth, how big that is. If your net worth is $100,000, then $50,000 means a lot to you. Then take a little more time. If you're a $2 million guy, it's not a big deal, but still take 2 3 months. That's what I would say. But if the market is down 15%, that is the time to do lump sum. Before that, I'm not doing any lump sum. I don't know where the market is going. So unless it is 10 15% down, otherwise dollar cost average. That's what I would do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Nothing to add there.
Quick question, guys. What is your biggest money goal for this year? Is it like being debt free? Is it buying freedom? Is it buying home? Is it buying Lamborghini? Is it doing any side hustle? What is your goal? And we would love to hear before we go to any next question. I'll try to read this if there is anything, Satish.
Yeah.
Is it worth converting previous employer 401k to Roth now to limit tax, or wait for low tax bracket here to do the conversion? Man, this is such a detailed question. I mean, it's not easy to answer, and we are not tax guys. I mean, though I'm doing it for myself, to answering it for someone, it really depends on your tax lab right now and how it is going to be after your retirement, and you'll have to take that call. For me, I don't have any income. I can afford to do that because I don't fall in a higher tax bracket. But it totally depends on what your end goal is in terms of your money.
Yeah, this is like highly personal, and a lot of tax stuff. Usually I've seen people, I mean, I'm not retired yet, so I've seen people who are on their fire journey and who retired early. They would do that once they retire early, right? They use the standard deduction of, let's say, $31,500, convert that to from traditional 401k to a Roth IRA, and they, just like explained previously, they can use that amount 5 years after that conversion happens. So because they don't have an income, they can use that standard deduction, and they don't pay any taxes, and also they don't pay any penalty, because you convert into a Roth IRA. So there is this. So I mean, we can connect later, but there is something called like Roth conversion ladder. So if you can read up on that, you'll get to know.
There is one specific question for me. Hi, Sushant. Wanted to ask how much you are making passive income since you have left job. I made $1,000 from my YouTube, and rest of my life is based on my portfolio, which I am withdrawing 3 to 4%. I shouldn't say every year because it has just been 1 year, but that's what is keeping uh, food on the table. So that's what I've been doing. It is all portfolio. There is no, yeah, I have one rental property as well. So rental, my portfolio, and YouTube, as I said, yeah, not much. So that's what it is.
It's actually, I'm really glad that we're receiving a lot of questions. That it's we didn't expect this kind of response, honestly, so that's why we're trying hard to, because we
We
have.
are overwhelmed, guys. Thank you so much for
Thank you so
joining.
much. this
Yeah,
this
yeah.
means a
Before
lot.
this ends, yeah, this means a lot. I saw 73, 75 people. I had no idea, no expectations. I'm like, just go in front of people, just talk it out, because the scripted, man, the scripting, the writing, and then the talking to the camera. I feel like, who am I talking to? I'm not a trained actor or anything. It feels weird. I'm still getting used to it. I'm trying to be good at it. I'm trying to communicate better, but this feels like, Satish, thank you so much for coming here, man. I know this is not ending yet, but still, I feel good when I'm talking to you. I'm talking to a live person in front of me. Otherwise, I'm not going anywhere, guys. I'm just sitting here. I don't meet people, so this is my people. I'm feeling good.
No, this is great. I mean, I love talking about money all the time. That's why I started this content creation journey, just to share my journey, so that I could connect to people who are on the same path. So on this note, I see a comment saying that, do you guys plan for any meetup, for similar financial independence interested people? I would love to meet people in person. I never thought about it, but Sushant, what's your take?
We will, yeah. I mean, you are in NC, I'm here. Sometimes we should plan it. Why not? If yeah,
It never crossed my mind, but this is a good idea, right?
we can do that. Yeah, why not? The same person who asked about, I don't know, long term and short term is asking what is the percent of emergency fund versus long term? Okay, we don't have much time. Emergency fund, if you have good job, 6 months of your living expenses should be in emergency fund, parked in a high yield savings account or money market brokerage account. If you are a freelancer, go for 1 year or 2 years of emergency fund. And versus long term, I did not get this. What is the meaning of versus long term? So let's move on. Early.
All right, I see some comments about Bitcoin. People asking about Bitcoin. So I think we didn't touch upon that, during this whole conversation. So let's see. What are your thoughts on Bitcoin, Sushant?
I feel like all the big guns are in the business now. The BlackRock, the Fidelity, uh, the countries, the sovereign countries. US has strategic Bitcoin reserves. So I definitely think it belongs somewhere in the portfolio. Maybe a very small percentage. I consider that as digital gold. Uh, I know physical gold has probably beaten Bitcoin by a little bit for last few 1 or 2 years, but Bitcoin, I feel like crypto. When I say crypto, I only mean Bitcoin. It has legs, and it should be. But should I use that language? I would have it. Let me say that I would have a little bit of net worth in that, um, and the you don't have to have a custody now. I mean, there are ETFs. It's so easy to invest. So a small percentage, why not? But you'll have to study it a lot. It goes through a 4 year of cycles and the halving and all that. And it is, if you're not if you're not comfortable, if the portfolio goes down by 25, 30, 40, 50%, it's not easy. Yeah, it's not easy, but it does belong to portfolio, a small percentage somewhere.
Yeah, I'm on the same page with you. One thing to add, I love dollar cost averaging. I love setting up investment accounts, like automating my finances so that I don't have to think about it, because we usually rely on willpower. We get excited. It's January, beginning of the year. Let's get our investments on track. Let's get our fitness on track, and then January goes by, and then nothing happens. Like willpower goes down, and then life gets in the way. So I usually try to automate as much as I can. Especially when it comes to like my investments, everything's automated. So I even automated like my Bitcoin. I mean, I don't understand Bitcoin, but I that's why I do less than 5% of my portfolio in Bitcoin, because I see there is potential in it. So I do even automatic investments into Bitcoin as well. Like every month, like $100. I use Robinhood. I just set up a recurring investment. So if the Bitcoin price is down, it'll buy more fractional shares, and if it's high, it'll buy less of it. So I don't rely on willpower. I don't do market timing. I've been doing that for almost like 5 years now. So I have no intention to sell it. So that's my take on Bitcoin. I'm not a big fan of like chasing returns, because history says it's hard to beat the market in the long term. So that's how I would approach. I know we are right on time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the retirement calculator, guys, I will put it out. I don't know how to type and do any of this here. I will paste it in the comments. I hope we can. And this will be staying on my channel. This chat is not going anywhere. So I'll put there, and I will pin that so you can use that. But yeah, this was a lot of fun, Satish. And thank you, all of you 50 people who are live right now. Please give us a like. Maybe YouTube will think this is good. And yeah, thank you so much for joining us. And thank you, Satish.
Yeah, thanks, Vishal, for inviting me. I see some people saying like my questions were unanswered too. So it looks like a lot of questions were unanswered. So honestly, like as we were talking previously, we didn't expect this kind of response for this one because this is the first YouTube live.
We promise, though, we will note all those questions and we will do this live again, and those will be answered before we take any new questions. So sorry for that, but we just have 1 hour and we will come back to that questions.
All right, and also people ask like how to get in contact with you. So maybe can you plug in your like how to how people can reach you, and then I can plug myself
I
as well.
mean, comment on any of my video and I am answering each and every question. Connect with me on LinkedIn. I reply to each and every I have nothing else to do. Instagram I started using recently. You can IM me there. What else can I say? That's pretty much it. So I yeah, you can reach out to me with all
Yeah,
this, and if not, we'll see you again here. I don't know how often we should use it. Okay, anyways, I know we should be conscious about time. So, well, thank you so much, guys. And we will see you in the next one. We'll let you know when we are coming up. We just decided yesterday that we are going live. So, this wasn't planned, but next time we'll plan it a little bit.
sure. I think if people want to reach me, so you can reach out to me. So I go by Compounding Project. So I have on YouTube and Instagram. Instagram is the best way to get in touch with me. You can send me a DM, and then you can reach out to me there. So thank you, Sushant, for hosting this. It's real fun. I never expected this kind of response, and I now we have a reason that we have to keep doing this more
Yes.
often. Looks like people really find this valuable.
Yeah, a lot of fun. All right, then. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Stay warm.
Stay warm. Bye.
Bye bye.